All right, Susan, I'm gonna start recording right now.
Okay. That's basically all I really want to talk about besides like actually like being like, "Hi designers, what do you want to work on?" Um
So your goal is
so
basically set up weekly meeting time and dole out the tasks.
yeah, one with just the designers and me, that's fine. Save if you want to be in that, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll come to all of
Um
them.
and then one with just me and Save just to be like and whoever the other head dev is. Will's up there too. Just to chat like, okay, what do you guys need? What can we provide? That kind of thing. Save, did you have anything you wanted to cover?
For the meeting itself, I wanted to get a better idea of where you're at on all the pages. Hold on, let me pull up
Mm-hmm.
Figma real quick.
Yeah. And it's been rough. It's been because like we don't have a design system planned out,
Yeah.
and
So I don't.
um, go
My,
ahead.
my, my main question is I just don't know what's gonna end up being reworked. Because the goal is really to have this like a nobody worries about the style until that page is for sure done, right? That way the
Mm-hmm.
developers don't have to rework. Um, So basically, some way for you to say, yeah, go ahead, this thing is done. Now I can make tickets for the front end people to go do that
Mm-hmm.
work. So I don't know if you want to just like message me and say this thing is done, or if we. I
Yeah.
If
like
you,
how you. Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, if in the name of the page it was just like how it's partners or login, just like a login
Mm-hmm.
dash final,
All right,
Yeah.
that works too.
that would work enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
We just need some way, because I'm not always looking at the Figma, so some way to ping me. Like even if you just,
Mm-hmm.
I just tell all the designers to ping me and say, yeah, it's done. And then we probably need some review process, right? If
Mm-hmm.
somebody says, "Yeah, we're done," we need you. We basically in the next design meeting, we'd want to pull everybody in and have everybody review
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, you
Yeah,
guys
that's
do pull
good.
requests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be helpful as well. And I'm hoping. I know Fardine said he was looking at fonts and stuff like that. So like again, like something like that, he could just bring to the meeting and be like, "Yeah, this is what I have." Be like, "Cool, let's talk about it."
And where
Um, yeah,
would
go
all that
ahead.
stuff be stored in Zeppelin?
Um, so yeah, that's the thing too. So you can make design docs in it's just like a Figma document. If you go to the copy, um, it's kind of like that where there's different pages for different stuff. Um, we could do it like that. But if we use Figma with, or if we use Zeppelin with Figma, we could name assets and work it like that. I haven't used Zeppelin in Figma, but I'm assuming it's very similar to Sketch.
And are we focusing on mobile at all? That just helps us like build the responsive screens.
I haven't got word of that, but personally,
It's
I
like,
think in mobile first, so that would be helpful for me. But
yeah, I, mobile design first would be useful for me too, because every time I make these pages, I try to make them responsive. I've been using that one little
mm,
mobile mock-up just to kind of have an idea.
mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we can switch to that. Um, because like yeah, we have stuff plotted here, but like it's not super duper high fidelity in some cases, and it's open to change. So
Yeah.
um, that wouldn't like crush us by any means.
So, as an overarching theme, I see three main things. We need to have some way for us to look at each page for dark and light mode. Something to say,
Mm-hmm.
here's what we should have for header one, header two, header three, body, font, color, that type of thing. And then,
Design system
yeah,
stuff, yeah.
and then the mobile look responsiveness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, we can start. Hi,
Hello.
Fardine.
Hi, Fardine.
Sorry about that. I had another call that just went on a bit longer than expected.
You're
You're good.
okay.
Um, did I miss all the juicy stuff?
We
Uh,
were just hanging out, talking a bit.
yeah, kind of chatting. We're talking about like, oof, where do I start? Setting up like meetings to meet. One with me and the designers, and then one with just me and Sabe. Um, just to kind of make sure dev and design are in harmony.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're gonna say something?
No, you can go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say, well, I'm here, and if you wanted to, we can start the design part of it. Sorry again for the delay and being late.
You're okay. Do you have anything you want to show, Fardine, by the way?
Personally, or with the website itself?
Just like for the website.
Not really, just because I didn't know a lot of the elements. For example,
Yeah.
I'm beyond the roadmap on the wiki. I think there should be a new discussion of scope and features, and what makes sense and what doesn't make sense given dev capabilities and design capabilities. And I think even having a fully fleshed out design system is dependent on some of the things we would be building.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that's why I stayed my hand and I didn't start on anything just fully yet, because I don't know what's practical to start building yet, and I don't know what's actually necessary and what's not.
So do we want to revisit MVP then?
I think that'd be a good idea.
Okay.
I think we'd want to visit like all features we want to make for MVP, and then kind of define what we want them to do. Because I think what Bardian's saying, it's like having a defined like epic.
No, yeah, you're
Yes.
Do you guys have the link to the wiki page for the MVP, or you want me to send it in the channel?
I'm looking at it right now, but I don't know about
Here, I'll just send it in the One Leaf website channel.
Thank you.
Yeah, that way it's just handy.
I should bookmark this.
And
I'm usually. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. We kind of chatted about designing mobile first, like switching to that.
Yes.
Just to make sure stuff is responsible. The reason we started with desktop was just because that's where we saw most of our users being.
Right.
But from a responsive standpoint and like just design standpoint, we all see that mobile first might be the way to go.
That, and we're gonna do a mobile app in the future, so might as well get jump on it.
No, I agree with that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Especially, Susie, what you mentioned, right? With the responsiveness, I think designing for the smaller breakpoints are going to force us to be more concise. As much as I don't like having to be more concise, as we talked about earlier, I think that is a good direction to have, just because it reduces the amount of copy we'll have and design efforts, I guess, too.
Also, like with you and Raya, because you both seem pretty motivated, things can change a lot. Like, from my perspective, I'm like, if this ends up being, designed totally different, I'm totally okay with that. And if you guys end up taking on a lot of the design work, and I'm more of a supervising guidance type role, like that's fine with me too. I can kind of play whatever needs to be, whatever we need.
Sure, that sounds good to me. I guess if you don't mind me taking the forefront for this question, the bigger question that I do have is to you, Zach, and Sabian, and I guess somewhat Will as well, because you've all been working on the site, and Fabrice too, I guess. What is the core objective of the website in like a one or two liner?
So Zach may have a different view of this, but in my eyes, the goal is to have some central place for people to find us, to find out what we do, as well as to interact.
So for information on the organization and its individuals, and I'm assuming projects as well.
Correct.
And some sort of interactivity.
Yep. So like being able to like comment on people's posts or those type of things.
Any other different answers?
I would say that there's kind of a couple different users here. So one user would be an organization that we could partner with. Their use here is to find out what One Leaf is. Through the about page, looking through the posts.
Because they're looking to partner with us or something like that.
Yeah. So that's one user. I think another user is just a member of OneLeaf or yeah, even a potential member of OneLeaf. They have a different use case. So they're finding out about OneLeaf from this website and then signing up, and then they're using it to view their fellow members' posts and then see other projects out there. So they have a slightly different need than a partner would.
And there's one
They
last
can
use
be more
case I could think of,
technical.
which would be recruiters,
Mm-hmm.
because people could use their OneLeaf profile as a resume almost.
Right.
I think
That actually. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying one other use case I think of for a user would not only be like a developer looking to join OneLeaf, but while the developer's using it, like if they're ever struggling with something, they're able to search for other users to try to have help. That's what the whole tagging system was to be like, or if an open source project needs someone with this expertise, then they'd be able to reach out to them.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So this brings me to the next question. Out of all the people or all the types of users that we just discussed, so I'll try to write them down as
Yeah,
we
I
discuss
added them
them.
to the
did that
MVP.
too. Good job.
Oh, okay, they're all there.
I hit save, refresh the page, and they're there.
Okay, got it. Perfect. So we have recruiters, we have members, existing members, potential members, corporations, and nonprofits. So I'm going to separate the organizations into further categories. How would you rank the priority from one being the highest to whatever number being the lowest after that?
Absolute
In,
high.
term,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
in terms of like directing the website to these people.
I personally think the absolute highest is potential members because that's something that Zach and I would like to funnel everybody through the website, right? So when we make posts to Reddit or whatever to find potential members, we like to be able to make the post shorter and just say, "Hey, go look at our website. You can find out about us there, as well as figure out how to get involved."
Interesting.
The second highest I would say would be for members, so that way we can interact, find out what projects there are for us to work on, get onboarded, that type of thing, as well as be able to write posts and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And what about recruiters, nonprofits, and corporate sponsors?
Those are all kind of lumped together. I'd see nonprofits over other companies, just because we are a nonprofit and we would benefit more from working with other nonprofits, and we would be doing more good by helping other nonprofits and companies. But if I had to rank nonprofits and recruiters, I'm
I put
not.
recruiters lower.
Yeah, I think I would too. As of right now, at least, because like we don't have any
Fun.
contracts set up with any recruiters to like guarantee that we get like a referral bonus or something like that.
Susie, did you have anything different in mind, or anyone else in the chat?
Yeah. So I was actually, this might be hashtag controversial, but I would say organizations trying to find us. So people that aren't technical, but they're nonprofit, whatever. I would say they're a top user. Just because they're trying to find us or find out what we are, and then use this site. But for MVP, this might be different. For MVP, our top user might be exactly what Sabian said: potential members and members.
Susan,
And then
I think you're right there.
And then I think just in both of those kind of cases, MVP versus like down the line, recruiters are just kind of they're there, but they're more like tertiary. They're not like primary or secondary.
Got
I
it.
I would agree that the most important use case changes as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now our biggest goal is to scale up the organization so that we can have partnerships with other organizations.
Right. No, that makes sense. So in that scope, I guess it helps us focus more of our efforts more towards those three major groups: the existing members, potential members, and nonprofits. Even if it is phased out over time, just because having 5 different user cases, as great as it is, it's going to take more time and effort to start building out for everyone from the start. So that helps narrow down the focus a bit. All right, so designing for these 3 major users or groups of users, and then tying it into that objective of being able to find information and interactivity. How does the rest of the features already outlined on the wiki play into that? So like when this was already scoped, you have the landing page, you have the home about us page, meet the team page, dev docs, so on and so on. How does each of those sections play in with three of these groups from your perspectives?
So landing/about us would work for both other organizations and potential members. Existing members really wouldn't look at that page at all. Meet the team page could be used for any of the use cases. Existing members could use that to find people to join their team. Potential members could use it to see, what type of people are even in the organization. Other organizations could use it to figure out what capabilities we have as an organization.
Recruiters could use it.
Yep, to find people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that
Dev
one's the
docs.
most versatile.
Are we still
Okay.
doing dev docs?
What's that, Will?
Are we still doing dev docs?
I'm not sure on that one. We're gonna have to revisit that because I think a lot of it can be moved out to a separate wiki.
Yeah, dev
I'm
docs
Yeah.
could be made on the project wiki.
Yeah,
Or
I'm actually gonna go ahead and remove that from the MVP. Because that's not something that I think is critical, unless anybody has a
I'd say
counterpoint.
active projects would be used by potential members and members.
Yep, it'd be used by both.
And by organizations too.
Yeah, they could use
So that's
that,
a good one.
especially if we use any tool, like how we were discussing the tooling for nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the potential projects that'd be an example of something they could look at.
Is there, aside from dev docs, are there any other sections that don't help satisfy those three user groups or their interests and needs, in your opinions? Or is everything else kind of tailored towards them already?
I think everything else fits in pretty handy.
Anyone have any conflicting thoughts?
I feel like organizations might not use posts as much, just because they're probably just quickly browsing our
Right.
website.
Yeah.
But they could, they could, but that's just kind of my thoughts on it.
I guess if there's any posts that related to nonprofits or organizations, yes, but that would be really specific.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that dev docs and some part of the profile is not as tailored towards these three groups, how would you then rank these sections in terms of priority once again?
I'd put the landing page and about us as the most
Mm-hmm.
important to get up right now.
Agreed. Yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
that allows us to go public quickest.
Next from that?
I'd say would we do profile, like users profiles?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Which I'm not sure if that's
You know
separate from
what?
login/sign up, because that's kind of a simple page.
Susie, you were going to say something?
I'm looking at it again, and okay, yeah, I agree with the about us landing being top,
Mhm.
but active projects might be very helpful. And what's good about that page is it's not super, like, you don't need a ton of, it doesn't take a lot of work compared to some of these.
It's pretty static too.
Yeah, it's static. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah,
so that might be up there.
I'd personally agree as well, just because if you look at it otherwise, if you were to go landing and then profile, it's flip-flopping between an organizational focus with the landing and then an individual focus with the profile, and then maybe moving to like an organizational focus again with the project page. Whereas it might be more conducive, as you mentioned, Susie, just to knock out one thing, one focus at a time. So getting the focus on one leaf done first, and then moving on to the individuals within the organization.
And it's not like active projects doesn't help individuals, because for potential members, active projects very well could be the entire reason somebody wants to join.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. What I meant more so was I shouldn't have said focus. The better word would have been highlight. So highlighting individuals versus highlighting the organization first.
Got it. Yeah. So yeah, I think we're on kind of on agreement here. It goes landing/about us, and then active projects.
Okay, perfect. Anyone have any questions so far, or any conflicting thoughts?
I feel like I feel like we probably already said this, but like let's just get our static pages done right away because those are easier and more versatile. Let's get those done, and then I guess I'm speaking
Yeah,
for a
so
lot of people here.
I'm gonna reorder them
Uh,
in the
mhm,
following order. Landing page, because that's gonna be so far when you kind of separated it from like the about us and landing page. Landing page is gonna be like where like if we did a Google ad, it would land on that page. It's not the home
Mhm.
page because it's not like the about us, but it's like a separate one that like just gives them a very quick introduction and a link to the Discord to join.
Right.
The home/about us would be separate. It would give us a little bit more depth as and on top of that the links as well. Active projects would follow. Uh, so active projects is the page that holds all of the active projects, like a card for each, and then each of those
mhm,
cards sends you to a separate page that is the information about that project specifically. And then it
Got
would
it.
go the meet the team page because that's more static as well as because for meet the team it'll probably be the core team at first, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
and then
And
after that,
then
sorry, go ahead.
I know I was gonna say right, and then everyone else. Yep.
Yeah, actually, login sign up will probably be before.
It would have
It,
if we're doing meet the team with like just the core at first, that
that
could
yeah
we
that
could
that
continue
works
that
fine.
static,
yeah,
but then
yeah.
we'd
Yeah,
have to have profiles created
yeah. So
before we do the actual
meet
meet the team page.
so meet the team page will. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little point for this. The meet the team page to start will be static. It'll just have the core team. But in the long term goal is as soon as somebody makes an account and they add tags to their profile, they're added to the meet the team page, and then we'll have some way of sorting them that kind of shows the core team up top, and then the rest of the members below that with some
Right.
sort of filtering.
Just keep that separate
Yep.
static.
Um, just for progress and scoping sake, I think I agree that having a landing page that adds redirect to a separate one would be worthwhile. But I think for now,
Mhm,
you can merge it with the homepage and
mhm,
design for the homepage first. Start putting the ads through that, and then
mhm.
once that's all set up, then moving on to a separate landing page.
That makes sense.
Actually,
I totally agree
we
with
can
you.
collapse landing home about us all into one page. We do need a separate page for contact us with our email.
Yes. Okay.
Uh,
That definitely makes sense.
I will go ahead
Um,
and change the page to reflect that.
I also think that regarding login and sign up, since that's particularly a feature that is uh, catering to that individual interaction with the website, like a person being able to log in, set up their profile, and look at
Yeah.
projects and so on. I think that's better served in the second phase of this.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
The
Plus, we're
first
not ready
phase,
for it either, as well.
Go ahead and
exactly.
refresh the page, guys, and make sure that you're on the most active.
Mhm,
So you all touched upon this. Going static, keeping the first phase very localized to just informational purposes right now, I think would be best for progression.
Agreed.
Especially because the devs are thirsty for designs, and I think this also gives us,
It
um,
gives you something concrete to go off of.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and it doesn't divide up the designers because there's only three of us right now, right, Susie? Am I
yeah.
counting correctly? Right. So there's three of us. I think it's gonna at least take us a week if I'm predicting correctly. And I don't, and I personally would like to get the designs out as soon as possible.
Mhm,
Um,
I don't think anybody's
and
going to argue with that.
uh, well, just because there's reviews, right? The entire design team would need to meet up again, and we need to review each other's work and make sure it's consistent. But there's the small nuances that would add time. But by dividing up our efforts and focusing on different phases, I don't think is going to help much. Um, is anyone in disagreement with that?
Nope.
I don't think there's much to
no,
disagree with.
I updated my GitHub and now I'm confused. Okay, so landing page is like AKA homepage,
Homepage. Yeah, hold on. I'll rename that.
but homepage has all your about info. Yeah, is that basically
Yep.
about info and a link to join us? Basically, is what that is.
Basically, yes.
And then contact is totally different thing. We haven't even mentioned that.
Correct.
Okay, sorry, it was confusing me.
And then in the future, it's not absolutely necessary, but we can have a more in-depth like history or about us page, but that's not
Mhm.
imminent.
So from a website standpoint, until we get past these static views, should we be hiding like our search component, the user sign-in pages, all that.
Probably, I would
That's a
just
pain in the
because
ass, but yeah.
they're not functional yet,
Yeah.
or we wouldn't have pages designed for them.
Agreed.
Sorry if I can jump in. We should like put one website publicly visible, and second one for just for devs to test all this new stuff.
Yeah, that would be our different.
Mhm.
We could have different branches. Right now, we have a develop and master, but that would be what we're putting out first. But we could have like a beta branch and alpha branch or something like that.
Yeah, like putting the publicly visible from master one, where we have all these static pages etc. working, and from develop we should go into like another, I don't know, like not publicly visible domain
Yeah, but
where
working on
all the devs
functionality.
can test all this stuff.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I think something that might also help the designers as well. Susie, feel free to jump in, um, since you're more of an experienced UX designer. But we would also need to start testing certain features from a UX standpoint um, at a certain moment in time during the development cycle. So probably not now, just because some of these static pages we can make clear assumptions with on how they're going to be used. But some of the more active features like profile management, account creation, um, uh, like
Posts.
the team page and so on, like those things we would need to test from an experience standpoint as well.
Yeah, I
Sure.
agree. With the static ones, just because we want something out right now,
Mm-hmm.
we can kind of pause on testing for now. But when we get further into the more involved stuff, like the post and all that stuff, yeah, testing would be nice.
Okay, so we have, I guess we have scope and we have a general sense of how the phases are going to work, at least for now. How do you guys envision the timeline for this to be? Um, when is the expected date for a public release for the MVP? Just
Uh,
the informational part of it.
so on the development side of things, it won't take long at all. Like as soon as the content is on there and the designs are laid out, it shouldn't take very long. Like it should be super quick, especially since we're all doing static content.
Okay.
So it's kind of, and so the design side is where I don't have enough knowledge to tell what the time frame should be.
Um, Susie, again, if you don't mind me taking the lead on this, but feel free to jump in. Uh, Content-wise, it would help a lot if, for example, the landing page, the contact us page, the active project pages, if we have the copy for that ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
The earlier we have that, the sooner we can start designing around the copy
What do you mean
and the
by a
content.
copy?
Any body text.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So any textual information that's going to be placed inside.
That will probably be my highest priority in the coming week, is making sure we have like the finalized text for that.
I was also going to suggest it might help if we also introduce a copywriter to the team as well. I don't know if this is reaching too far, but I think Tina might have mentioned that she has an interest in copy. And it might serve to find someone who's interested in doing website copy as well and who can be more purposeful about it.
I can reach out to her and kind of work with her on that as well.
Because
That's a good
Writing
note.
voice too.
Yeah, and especially because whatever tone the copy possesses, that is also going to inform design. So if the copy is very playful and very colorful, then it's going to inform the colors that we implement into some of the features. Whereas if it's very serious, we're going to have a mismatch in things. That is very dogmatic in terms of design, but consistency would be helped a lot if we have the person doing copy also in the team and attending meetings.
I agree.
Susie, did you want to divide us up because you have the best understanding of who signed up for what from the design perspective?
Yeah, it's just you, me, and Raya, and I haven't heard much from Raya. So
Let's have you guys organize based off of what you two can do, and then we can figure out where she can add in afterwards. He, she, I don't know.
he, she.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know either. So looking at it, really, what us two need to focus on are that homepage. I'm just gonna call it homepage, landing page. Same,
Yeah.
same.
Right.
That page and active projects page. Those are the two
Big ones.
two things that
Okay.
you need.
Did you have a personal preference for which one you wanted to take up?
I really don't. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I might be better at active projects, but I'm like willing to do either. Do you have any preference or?
Not personally. Whichever one you think you'd want to do the least, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Where do you think you could be stronger?
I can take I can take landing just because that's the first one and it's needed immediately by the dev team.
Yeah, and I feel like you'll be able to push design out a little bit faster than I will be able to. I can take active projects because I've worked a lot of stuff with a ton of like cards before. Like I've had that kind of experience versus like making a landing page. Like I really just haven't really done that much.
If it's all right, I'm probably gonna skip the low fidelity stuff and just jump right into high fidelity just because we're strapped for time.
Perfect.
And the overall like look of it can change. I'm totally cool with that.
Okay.
Honestly, I might prefer that. So, also, should we make? I guess we have to make mobile and desktop at the same time.
Yes. Devs, do you have a preference for which one you want first?
Either one will work as long as we have something finalized.
Okay.
We would get the go ahead to go for it.
Did you want to set a deadline for us, Susie, so that we can give devs concrete time?
I don't want to give you a deadline on the homepage until Tina and I have the copy because that just seems like a bad assumption. But the active projects we could probably give a deadline on based on Susie's schedule.
We don't have copy for active projects either.
I can give you that. I can give you that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, we don't really like. We want it done fast, but I wouldn't set any hard.
Oh yeah, we're not strapped for that much time.
We can have like pinpointed like goals.
Yeah.
Like time goals. Like I can't think
will
of
say I'm
right
moving
now. But...
like this week and next, so I'm probably gonna be MIA for a bit. Active on my phone, but I won't have my computer.
Zach, I think you started the Trello, or was it Sabian?
Yeah, I started the Trello.
Should we? Is there a dev Trello as well, or
we're using GitHub?
We have a GitHub Canvas.
Okay. All right. Okay. I guess we'll need to clean up the Trello a bit because we changed the scope a bit.
That's totally fine.
I would prefer to have a bunch of stuff in the backlog and then what you guys need to work on right now and the ready for work, which helps a lot for focus.
Could we pin the Trello up and give everyone else access to that, just so that the devs also know where we are and what we're working on and which cards are being done?
Yeah, it is pinned up and it should be a public link, but
okay,
if it isn't, let me know.
And I'm assuming everyone has the temporary Figma link as well.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, that's in the same message.
Perfect. Do all the devs have... do you know how to use Figma, or does anyone need help?
If we're looking at it from a dev standpoint, you mean like clicking on things and seeing the CSS associated?
Yes, and like the distance between assets and... Okay, so you know all of that. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's all I have in terms of questions and things that I wanted to talk about personally.
I think we got through a lot today.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. This might be kind of out of scope for this conversation, but as far as active projects go, I see there's a search bar because we don't have that many active projects.
Yeah, we're gonna hide it.
Now. Yeah.
this is
Okay.
probably-
That can be further
Yep.
down. I'm just looking at it right now.
Should we change the scope of MVP then, or like is this going to be MVP like 0.1?
Yeah, do we have
And then-
Yeah, can we
MVP
have
phase
a
1
1 and 2 and
All right. So
etc.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
will
we're gonna have
I
to
will-
version control it.
I will go ahead and make 2 separate pages, one for website MVP and one for I don't know. Website MVP phase 1 and phase 2, I guess.
Yes.
Cuz
And then
it's just static and not static is basically what it is.
on the Trello, we can have V1 and V2 as well. That'd be
Perfect.
helpful.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
can call them V1, V2.
We can just create tags. We wouldn't need a separate board. So if you create tags, we could label certain features as V1. Pro tip: if you're creating tags, use the first couple of colors for versions, just because if you use the later half of the colors, the cards get messed up in terms of organization and sorting.
Yeah, it needs to be reorganized because I was doing it by feature, but it would make, or I was doing it by page, but it'd make more sense to do it by version or something like that.
Would I be able to get edit access so then I could help?
Yes. How do I? There you go.
Perfect.
You're admin now.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, edit it.
will I?
Thank you.
Um,
That'll probably be my daily task, just making sure Trello is updated and that we're on task.
Thank you.
Should we create a separate project for phase 1 or phase 2, or just tag the issues in the GitHub Kanban? Come on. 'Cause we can add tags to those
Yeah,
too.
we could just add a label for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Regarding meetings, what would be the frequency and when would you like to have the stand-ups?
At the minimum, weekly for stand up. And
Mhm.
it doesn't have
I'm
we
okay
don't
with
always have to hop in a call. We could just do a stand up in the One Leaf website text channel.
I'm cool with that. Yep, that works for me.
Cool. I will I'll just do you guys just want to make it Sunday afternoon? And then if you can't get to it Sunday afternoon, just do it Monday morning or whatever.
Is
Sure.
it just a type your progress stand up type thing?
Yeah.
Type.
What you did last week, what you're gonna do this week.
Yeah, that works.
And if you have any blockers.
Yep.
Yep.
Perfect.
I'm writing that down.
Front end guys, let's do the same thing. Let's just all do everything on Sunday. That way we're all kind of on the same page and we see each
Yeah.
other's progress.
That was my second question. Susie, did you want to have a separate design meeting?
I was thinking about that. Again, I thought there'd be more designers, but like it's cool if it's just like us, and then we could throw Sabian in there. Just
Yeah.
to make sure like what we're chatting about is.
I don't want to assume for everyone else, especially you and Raya, but I personally have time, and I would appreciate another design meeting because we also need to work out design language for the organization at a macro level, and that'll give us extra time to work towards that, rather than just completely always focusing on the website.
Yes. I'm sure you know more about the details of what you just said than I do.
well, it's more so just to document all our processes, what we're designing, as we're designing it, and assuming that the One Leaf website wouldn't be the sole organizational project. There might be more in the future. We need to have that knowledge base created and ready to go and continually updated.
We're doing the same thing for the development side of things as well. So
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So basically, copying the devs on what they're doing just for design. I think there's value in that, and if you have the time, and if Raya has the time, I think we should have meetings on that.
Would you prefer to meet like this just in a voice, or just do it in a channel? Or
I
Probably
prefer
voice,
I
right?
prefer voice just because
Yeah.
it's easier to clarify things and avoid misunderstandings. But it's
Yeah, I
completely up to
agree.
you.
No, I agree with that.
Susie's just busy as hell.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no. If you're busy and there's not enough time, that's totally fine.
Fardine, you could also kind of take charge of it and like for what we do on the development side of things, you just make a proposal, right? You kind of write up what you want to do, or what you think the standard should be, and then Susie can just review it and say yes or no, or what these are the small changes that you should make.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
should meet weekly or something like that. Trying to think time wise. I mean, this works for me. We could keep this time for now and then further
Sure.
down the line.
Yep.
Sunday would work too.
Yeah.
I'm
Absolutely.
Calendar.
Whatever works best for you, and Raya as well. I think we'd all need unanimous consensus on that.
Oh, I can't do this time next week.
I'm cool with anything. So.
Yeah. We don't have to decide that right now. I can